Hey there, I'm Alyssa, and this is Speak Brown Girl, where we speak our truth on Black women, relationships, and religion. I'm a divorced mom of three littles, a digital marketer, and a theologian. I'm a feminist, womanist, and a strong Black independent woman. I like my comedy sarcastic, my traveling frequent, and my dancing a little hood.
And I'm Starr, a nonprofit professional by day and a real estate entrepreneur by night. More importantly, I am a new wife, a sister, a daughter, and a friend, connoisseur of spicy food, good coffee, and Black culture. I stand for the gospel, Black liberation, and head wraps. I am unapologetically a Black Christian woman.
And I'm Marvy. I'm a senior administrative assistant, actress, and a woman of God. I enjoy game nights, exploring new places, meeting new faces, and anything animal related. Black music, culture, and church are where I find the most joy.
Thank you guys for joining us for season 2, episode 12 of Speak Brown Girl. Before we get into today's topics, we do want to remind you that Speak Brown Girl is now on YouTube at Speak Brown Girl Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you're a new or faithful podcast listener, don't forget to rate or review our show. I'm going to just hand it over real quick to Starr for In the News. What do you have for us, Starr?
Yeah, real quick. So in the news today, we have that Kamala Harris, our vice president-elect, has taken the COVID-19 vaccine, specifically from Moderna, on camera this week in hopes to quell people's fears and concerns and hesitance around taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Just for context, there are 2 vaccines now on the market, one from Pfizer and one from Moderna. Both are from private organizations, pharmaceutical companies who have developed these vaccines just for facts information. Some before the vaccine, and specifically what you think personally about you and your family, and also Black people taking the vaccine.
You say the last part of what you just said?
Yeah, we didn't.
Huh?
We didn't hear the question because you froze, and we were like,
Oh, I saw y'all look like that. I'm like, did I say something wrong? I said, what are y'all's thoughts on taking the vaccine, both personally and as Black people, generally speaking, as well? And I will also throw in there as Christian people, because there are some, discussions around that as well. So, can you hear me? Oh, are you looking?
Yeah, but me and Marvy staring at each other. Wait to see who go first.
We're like, go ahead. Nope, you go.
How do I feel about it? I'm not getting it. That's how I feel. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even get the flu shot, to be honest with you. I don't get the flu shot. Last time I had the flu was probably like 11 years ago when I got the flu shot. So maybe because I just feel like I'm not really prone to it. I don't know. Part of me is just like, well, if enough people get it, then I won't have to and it'll be fine. But I don't know. I did read that somebody got COVID after they got one of the vaccinations. And
yeah,
so
normal with vaccines. Vaccines don't necessarily stop you from getting it, but it just stops you from getting a bad case of it. So it's building up your body's immune system so that even if you come in contact with it, either you won't be affected or you won't be affected as badly. So like you can still get it, but like you're less likely to die from it or get a bad case of it. Potentially, but some you also could just not get it at all.
Yeah, I'm still not gonna. I don't have like any deep, like rooted, like theological discussion of like why I'm not getting it. I'm just not.
What about you, Marvelyn? What do you think?
I would like to see more results. I would like to see the effects. I know with any type of medication, there's going to be side effects. Like, I know that that's just a fact of life, but I think just given the short amount of time that it took to create this vaccine, I would just like some more time. So I think possibly I could see myself getting the vaccine, but holla at me in like Q3. If this thing is still going on, then I'll likely get the vaccine.
I like that answer.
Yeah, I think that God has given people the wisdom to create medicine. So I don't think that there's anything like antichrist about it. I know that there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that are really preying on people's like distrust of the government and now trying to bring biblical things into it, which I just feel like, listen to God and not just random people on the dark web or on rabbit holes in YouTube. So I think everybody, at the end of the day, they'll have to decide for themselves, and they should think for themselves and do the research. But yeah, to each their own. But for me personally, I would like to give it more time. How about you, Starr?
I will get the vaccine as soon as I am able to. As soon as they say that Starr and David are the next in line for the vaccine, I will get the vaccine. And for a few reasons. One, because I think that there's just so much false information.
Pause, you're frozen again.
That is instilling.
You were frozen again.
So go say, I think there's so much.
There is so much information is all we heard.
I said there's so much false information and misinformation going around about that is causing people to fear getting the vaccine, which is counterproductive in the sense of like, if so many people are discouraged from taking the vaccine, then we won't get the effects of actually having a vaccine as a society, because we need at least 75% of the population to get the vaccine. The last poll that went out, it was about 50% of people said they would get it. But with all the distrust and, false information going around, if people don't get the vaccine, then we will continue to live like we lived in 2020 until we get enough people to get the vaccine to have herd immunity. And for David and I, because we are healthy, young people, we see getting the vaccine as a way of loving our neighbors, because there are people who may not be able to get a vaccine because of health issues or whatever people's reasons are. But in order, as a community, as a society in general, like as global citizens, then we will not. Y'all hear me?
It froze again.
If enough people don't get the vaccine, then the pandemic won't actually end. And so that's one. Two is David works for Pfizer, which is the first pharmaceutical company that came out with the vaccine. And so I think with the amount of misinformation going out, I feel like I have a little bit more comfort than most people have, because I know that Pfizer has done a lot of work to be apolitical throughout this whole vaccine process, this whole research and development process. They have taken like very intentional steps, like even like, I mean, of course, things that everyday people wouldn't know, like sending out emails to the staff, like, after the presidential debate, saying like, we did not condone X, Y, and Z that was said. We not stand behind that. We're not a political organization. We will not release the vaccine before the election because we do not want the vaccine to be politicized, even though it still ended up being politicized anyways. When Trump invited them to the White House before the FDA approval, they denied because they did not want it to appear like this was a political thing. And they didn't want it to be a conflict of interest. But because of the amount of false information, people still like, somebody said, I don't trust anything the government's giving me. Pfizer intentionally did not take any funding from the government in order to make the vaccine, because they did not want to say that this vaccine was the government's. They committed to funding the vaccine themselves, and even if it meant taking a loss for the year, because they wanted to contribute to ending the pandemic. But this is not information that people are consuming all kinds of information saying that this was like created by the government and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who wins? Who wins if everybody gets the vaccine? There's no, there's nobody who's exempt from it. Even the president got it. Who wins by creating it doesn't make sense. So it's just so much false information. And I think that like, even like people saying the government did it when I know that it was made by private, like clearly they're made by private companies, and the government had to buy the vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. They didn't just get them. Like they had to purchase them the same way, any other like B2B transaction would happen. And so I think that also is another reason. Yeah. And I think that there's also like, even scientifically, some skepticism about how quickly the vaccine was made. I just don't think that that's as people may think it is. Like
It froze, sorry.
I said I don't think that the timing is as super valid as people think it is, because COVID itself is not, the coronavirus is not a foreign thing. Like the coronavirus has existed before in different form. So it wasn't like something that they just started from scratch on 9 months ago. They already had research and development on coronavirus, but then they had to work on this specific strain of coronavirus. On top of that, what was the other point I was going to make about? And also, like, when people were like, well, why couldn't they solve all these other things? Well, this is a global pandemic that's affecting everybody. So during these past 10 months, there's been a lot of resources pushed toward it. So other diseases exist, other viruses have existed before, other problems still need to be solved. But if there isn't dollars and funding behind it, if it's not prioritized, then people are going to put the funding and attention is divided. Over the last 9 to 10 months, attention was not divided. All people cared about was getting a COVID-19 vaccine. So everybody dedicated all of their resources and funding toward getting this vaccine out, which if people rally together around a single disease state, and in other time it could happen as well, but it's just not as many resources poured into vaccine. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it, guys.
And those are valid. Thank you for sharing.
Those are good. I mean, I definitely agree. Ouch. Got some little kinks in the back. I told you I ain't combed my hair in like 2 days. Okay.
No.
So, yeah, I got some kinks in the back. But that's when you know I need to go get it washed. But I definitely agree with like this not being a new like thing, because obviously they said corona is a different strain of the flu, right? And so you already have the flu virus to work off of to be able to create a flu vaccination to be able to create a coronavirus vaccination from. However, I am still gonna get it.
I don't think that like caution is a bad thing at all. I think you should, always be cautious and do your research. I just think that a lot of people's caution is based off of false information. And I think that's what's the most harmful, because especially in the Black community, the coronavirus is killing our people and having just negative effects on our people know that, and still as a community, and I understand why Black people would be distrustful of of anything systemic, because we've always been on the short end of the stick. So I'm not saying I don't understand it. I just think that it just needs to be more facts given to the community in order to prevent it. Like, I've had loved ones die. My uncle died from the coronavirus the other week. I mean, so I've just seen it. My mother-in-law had a swollen heart after she had the coronavirus. So I've just seen the negative effects specifically on the community, even statistically on our community. The effects are heavy. So then if Black people have the highest death rates of negative effects from the coronavirus, and also are vaxxers or whatever they call it, then what is the solution, especially when Black people also have less access to healthcare and all these other things? Like everything is just like negative, negative, negative. So it's like, what's the solution then? And so I understand it. I just don't know if you just say I will never get it, what the don't have access to money and like resources to pay their bills and all this stuff to stay home longer as well. Like, if you have higher unemployment rates and all, so like every solution is negative, it seems like, or every like option you can take is negative. So why not choose the one that has a 95% rate of being effective? So yeah. But if you have if you can commit to like, I don't care, I'll stay at home, I'm fine with quarantine, I'm fine with taking my precautions. But typically the people who are anti-vaxxers are also the people who says open up the economy and we don't want to stay at home and I'm not wearing a mask. And that's what I'm saying. The cognitive dissonance there is just mind-boggling.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I definitely see that, especially because Black women, like, we have been losing, like, unemployment for Black women has just been outrageous because so many of us have been those frontline workers and caregivers and, teachers, aides, or things like that. So there's like this huge number of Black women that are heavily being affected by this from a financial perspective as well, on top of everything else. So it really feels like we can't win because, like you said, like we have this distrust of the government, of anybody who is doing anything in the government or in the pharmaceutical company at that. And then we are being affected by it. And then we're also the ones that are going to clubs and having parties and having celebrities showing themselves having parties. And it's just like, what are we doing and how do we win in this situation? It feels very hopeless at times. But yeah, I'm praying that 2021 will bring about some changes and praying for this herd immunity thing to come to pass. So thank you for taking one for the team, Starr. We appreciate you. Appreciate you, girl.
I will gladly. And when I'm gonna be out there enjoying my life, and y'all gonna be in the house.
I'm gonna be out there with you with a mask on.
There you go.
But because even though you get it, you still have to wear a mask for the moment being. And thank you, Starr, for shining a new light on things that other people may not have even thought about, as far as getting the vaccine to be able to love your neighbors well, right? To love and care for your neighbors well. Because the church that I intern at, they're like 90% of them are like over 60, over 70 years old, and so they're waiting for their opportunity to get the vaccine, and they're going to jump at that opportunity, just to kind of like safeguard themselves.
And for those who maybe have some hesitancy about getting the vaccine, you can also love your neighbor well by taking the necessary precautions, like constant hand washing, face mask, and staying home. Like, you can love your neighbor by just staying home and limiting your contact with others when you don't need to. I'm actually here in Florida. Whenever I'm in the any common areas with my parents, I'm wearing my mask. Like, even though I'm home, even though I got tested before I came, like, I still don't want to take any, like, it was a risk for me to even to drive down here. But I was like, I would really like to see my parents. They're in a whole other state from me and I don't get to see them very often. So I was like, let me wear my mask anytime I'm around them. And we've just done that. I eat in a separate room and we just take the precautions. So you can do the same thing too if you want to love your neighbors well.
Absolutely.
That's that on that. All right.
All right. So Marv, you have something for us?
Yes.
The razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
Before Marvy does her razzle dazzle, do we want to share some quick Christmas updates on what happened around Christmas?
Updates.
I don't got nothing for you, sis. I was at home.
I mean, but you were at home with your husband. That was your second Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys have been fun.
And first Christmas in the new house.
Yeah. We imagined our first Christmas in the new house being with family. We wanted to our plan was we're gonna host the holidays this year in a new house. We had no one over. We had no gifts under our Christmas tree. I cooked dinner though, so that was nice. But
what you cook?
Pot roast, mac and cheese, collard greens, rice, super pie, apple pie.
I live 20 minutes from you. Why did you not call me?
Oh, I didn't know
what disrespect. Kaylin said the disrespect.
I didn't realize that people were around, but I did give my sister some food. I was like,
I would have drove up and took a little, off the front porch.
That's what she did.
You froze.
While later was like, this food was bomb. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you got it.
You were frozen. What'd you say?
I said, she texted me a little while later and she was like, oh, this food was bomb. I was like, I completely forgot about that. I left the food out there. I didn't know you came and went.
Look, I did a drive-by.
Yeah.
Marvy?
I was in Georgia with my auntie and my two cousins and my uncle. And it was a pretty low-key Christmas. The Christmas Eve, I think we're actually going to start this as a tradition, but we had juicy crab. Shout out to my company for paying for the meal. They give us a nice little thank you stipend, and I got juicy crab for everybody. And we had bags on bags of like everything that you can even imagine. It was like the Dungeness crabs and the crawfish and the other something crab legs.
I ate good. Nobody called me.
I'm sorry. That
was so nice.
It was, yeah. So I think we might do that. You said what?
It sounds like a nice tradition.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do that every year. Just have seafood for Christmas Eve dinner. So that was dope. And then Christmas Day we opened our gifts, and then I drove down to Florida with my folks, and we had a little mini Christmas. And it was cute. It was cute.
Oh, cute.
How about you, Liz?
Christmas Eve had some Christmas themed drinks with my friend Aggie, and it was pretty fun. It had some hot chocolate with Kahlua, Bailey's, and Crown.
Ooh.
And the normal eggnog with bourbon or whatever. And then the kids had regular hot chocolate and regular eggnog, which is fun.
That sounds like a good time. I love me a Christmas dinner.
I have a story time.
Oh, I'm ready for the story. Oh, I wonder if it's a man involved in the story.
We haven't had a story time in so long, guys. I'm so excited for the story time.
Well, this is going to be amazing. Also, I love this. What is it? Is it an armoire? What's the thing behind you called, Starr?
You can do a sideboard, credenza, whatever you want.
Credenza.
You're going to have to help me make one for the opening part of my house when I replace this tape on. I'm going to need you to help me with. Well,
way to make it. Well, I think easy.
You're frozen. You said yes, you'll help me make it? That's all I heard because you were frozen.
Well, we gotta find an easy one to make. It says send me pictures of what you like.
I'm down with that. So did y'all get, obviously not you, Starr, because everybody knows you're married, right? But Marvy, did some exes pop up on Christmas?
Nah, girl, my phone was bone dry. Nobody texts me oh, Merry Christmas, and how to be who is this? What is this number? And literally, I could have pulled the new phone, who this, because I literally did get a new phone, and I was like, I hope it doesn't happen. Thanks be to God. I had nobody trying to sneak in the Merry Christmas. Alyssa, I'm guessing that you had some. How many you had?
3.
Damn.
3.
That's because you're popular.
Christmas was very emotionally draining for me. Somebody called me from an unknown number. I answered. They said, "Hello, Alyssa.
No, ma'am. I'm about to throw this laptop across the room.
He's so
I just want to take these scissors and break something. I'm so tired. Of this man. Yeah. Please make him go away.
Won't go away. Like, how are you calling me from an unknown number?
We don't answer unknown numbers.
Yeah, no, we definitely don't answer. 2021, Alyssa, we're not answering unknown numbers, okay?
I'm at that point now. After I answered that, and I was like, "Baby, what are we doing?"
Yeah, no.
And he was like, "Hello, Alyssa." I was like, "Hey, how are you?" Obviously, I know who it is.
How are you? You didn't say click. What?
I was caught off guard. But I was mad dry. I was like, "Hey," he was like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm good. How are you?" "Oh, I'm good. You know, how's your Christmas? Merry Christmas." I'm like, "Merry Christmas." Then he says, "Oh, it's good. We're over here. We cooked and did all these things." And I said, "Oh, okay, nice." Trying to like end the conversation in a nice way. "Do you want me to bring you some food?" Absolutely not.
Ew!
Do not. Why would I want that?
Ugh.
Then later, video called me twice from Facebook, which he was blocked. I don't know how he video called me. Video called me twice, telling me he trying to come over.
You gotta tell him to stop the contact.
I said that. I said, "Can you please stop calling me?" Like, I was like, "Why would you hit me up when I've
be mean? You're being too nice, Alyssa. You're being too nice."
Yeah.
I've been mean though.
I need you to be meaner. I need to be meaner.
And they still call. So then this guy, literally, this guy that I have not talked to since 2018, that I went on like 5 dates with in 2017, sat up here and messaged me on Facebook. "I was thinking about you, I love you," like all this stuff. I was like, no dice. Like, he was like, "You just not gonna respond?" Like, and he just kept like, "Will you come out, meet me out for tacos?" I was like, "Bro, it's Christmas. Like,
oh, they're lonely. These
ain't got nothing to do with me."
Oh, God.
And lonely on Christmas.
And a certain someone sent me said Merry Christmas, and I sent a meme back. So
there's the last guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was just emotionally exhausted on Christmas because they just took everything that I had emotionally to tell them no nicely, and they wasn't getting a hint.
That's why you just don't respond.
Exactly. Please.
Well, I did stop responding. And then he was like, "Hello, Alyssa."
No, you just don't respond, period.
Are you going to respond? Are you not going to respond? And I didn't respond. And then he just started off. He's talking to himself. So yeah, that was my Christmas. I knew you were going to flip as soon as you figured out who called me. And I was like,
when she did that accent, I was like, no.
That's like an episode of The Office when Michael Scott go to the back and Toby is there. He's like, "No, God, please, no. God, please, no."
That's literally the meme. Yep.
And I was like,
can we leave him in 2020? We ain't taking him into 2020.
I'm leaving everyone in 2020. If it ain't worked with you in the last 5 years since I've been divorced, I'm leaving you. I'm leaving you there.
We're not taking you in 2021. We're not taking that name into 2021.
You see, I didn't even say it out loud.
We're gonna leave him in 2020.
We're letting it go. But
we're gonna block him in every way.
Don't respond at all. No type of response.
Hear his voice, you hang up. Don't respond. We're gonna leave him because he loved to do that, and then he liked to play stupid.
Oh, Why are you in love with me? Because you done did all these things.
You showed up to my house with a teddy bear and jumbo rice.
A handwritten note. You come and play with my kids, showing me wedding rings,
building stuff in my house. Like what?
And then want to act like the one from Mean Girls. Why are you so obsessed with me? Look at Marvelyn.
I hate it here. I hate it here. I don't want it.
Even offered to bring me food on Christmas. And then the next day be like, so what did you think that was? Why would you even let me do
it? Nah.
I already told you that I'm not in the space to date right now.
Why would you?
No, I'm not in the space to date you. Go away.
No, I'm saying like that's what he would do. He would, do these things, and then like later his words would be like, well, why would you think that we were dating? Because you took me out on damn dates. What you mean? You took me out on literal dates and said these are dates and held my hand. What do you mean?
Okay. That's why it was real. I don't even know if you realize how manipulative that is, but
so manipulative. So manipulative. Okay.
So, in 2020, we are leaving.
Everybody in 2020.
Okay, let's not do everybody because we would still like to be in your.
No. I said the men that I have dated that it hasn't worked out. That's what I'm saying.
We're leaving these dusty men behind in 2020. Yep.
No dusties in 2021, y'all. No dusties.
No dusties.
I got a text this morning that said, and I quote, he sent me a screenshot of a photo of me from my Instagram. He texted me a photo of me from my Instagram, and he said, your body looks so delicious.
Was this person that we're talking about?
No.
Or somebody else?
Yes. He said, your breasts look super full and heavy, just the way that I like them. He sent this at 8:09 a.m.
Who is this?
I said, who is this?
Oh, you didn't know either.
No.
Alyssa, you need to take that photo down right now.
No, I'm fully covered.
No, I know. Take it down right now.
You can see them in anything. You can see my...
If it's the black tube top, it emphasizes them.
No, it's not the black tube top.
Oh.
You want to... Exactly. See, I'm about to send y'all...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He
It's not her fault. It's his fault.
It's his fault. Y'all over-sexualize everything. So then I said, who is this? And he says his name. I sent the screenshot to y'all. And I said, I have a boyfriend. He said, okay, you still sexy. And I was like, okay. I said, this is the second day in a row that you've called me at 7 a.m. and left me voicemails. I said, and I do.
I see the name, but who is that?
I don't know. I don't know. And as you can see, Marvy police, my body is fully covered.
No, it is fully covered. It is covered.
Completely covered.
They are very emphasized, but it's completely covered.
They're emphasizing
everything.
They're emphasizing everything. I can't do anything about it.
Body. He needs to be shot. Sorry.
So I mean, and the picture is old, so that means he scrolled to find
everything. That's like a 2018 picture. It's like a 2018 picture. So he scrolled, sent me a screenshot of me, like I didn't know how I look. And then gonna say full and heavy, like I'm lactating or something. What the hell?
Oh my God. I don't know why they feel the need to share that with you. Like, as if that's gonna get you to jump in the bed with them. I don't know.
So then he says, I'm just letting you know you've been on my mind heavy. I said, well, why would you call me? Because he called and left a voicemail, but I couldn't really hear it, so I deleted it. Remember I told you after he called me, I wasn't answering no more like unknown callers. And so he was like, you've been on my mind heavy. That's why I called you both days at 7 a.m. First off, it's Christmas break. Don't call anybody at 7 a.m. It's Christmas break. Second off, I said, oh, I've been on your mind heavy. He said, yeah. I said, well, you should pray for me then.
Good for you. Good for you. Anytime I run across your mind.
Why are you acting like that? What else you want from me? I don't know what else you want from me.
Good, Alyssa.
But yeah, that's how my Christmas went.
These men are something else, man. All right, so I'm about to head into our recap of 2020 with some trivia. It's just like short. It is all going to be around Black people in 2020, mostly pop culture type references. And we'll see how these ladies go. Hold on, let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Can I just clarify something really quick? You know, my internet is really sketchy today. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, y'all keep freezing, so I'm just gonna let you know that up front that.
Oh, am I freezing?
Loses because she froze.
Like sometimes y'all freeze for me, and sometimes I freeze for y'all. Like you just froze when you were explaining the trivia. You said it was something about Black people after that. I didn't hear anything until you started counting. So
got you. All right. I need to add one more question. Actually, I'll add 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'll add.
Somebody texted me and said that they were very disappointed in us, Starr, that we didn't know Silent Night.
Oh,
Monique.
Was it Keith?
Monique.
No.
Oh, Monique. They should.
I was like, I said I knew I was gonna get my black card taken, and she was like, well, you got the Whitney one. I said, I know Whitney by her whistle, so that's
okay.
I'm gonna get that every time.
Well, also like under pressure, like you're not thinking about this stuff like all the time, and so like it's not a black card. It's
as soon as you hear the do 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 do, like come on, you're supposed to know, but
okay, well I didn't.
We know.
But I listened to that song several times over the Christmas season, so I'm still Black.
All right.
I listen to Soulful Christmas playlists all the time.
All right, sweetie, we'll give it to you.
Just like I listen to these things, darn it. Oh my God.
Okay, so we're gonna
listen to once a year. Shoot, one season a year on the radio.
It's iconic.
I don't know. I didn't know that one. I'm not gonna hold you up. But.
Right. Well, now you know, and you'll never get it wrong again.
So. I probably will.
Possibly.
Don't get it wrong in my presence, at least. If I'm ever over your place, like, oh, and y'all be like,
have high standards for me.
Stop it. All right, so we're gonna do a little something different this time with the trivia, okay? So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go back and forth. So the first question will be for Alyssa, and then Starr will have a chance to steal if she gets it wrong. And what is happening over there?
My mic, I have a different little mic stand. If y'all haven't noticed, I have a little tabletop.
I noticed that it wasn't in the frame, so I was like, oh, she's doing something different. All right, cool.
Well, my desk is too thick for the little thing that we use, so I had to get David just concocted me a tabletop one. It didn't come like this. So
oh, so cute. I love it.
You're such a hater, Alyssa. I can't see.
What? I said it was cute. I'm hating. I said it was cute. That's my like little cutesy voice. Like, oh my God, it's so cute. I love that. That's how thugs cry.
Right. Okay. No, thugs cry like that. We know.
Thugs cry like. So yeah.
No, you gotta do like.
Keep going.
Anyway, first question, so we can actually get into the new year. Please and thank you. We're trying to leave this year behind. All right. So once again, this is all 2020 related. It's all Black people related. All right, women and men. All right. So Alyssa, your first question: what U.S. 1990s sitcom about two siblings returned to Netflix this year, delighting fans and acquiring new ones?
Moesha.
Is that your final answer?
Can I steal?
2, 1. That is incorrect. Starr, you have the option to steal.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Starr, go ahead for the steal.
Is it sister?
It is sister. 5 points for Starr. Well done.
So upset.
Are you done crying again? What's happening?
No, I should have gotten that stupid.
Yeah, I don't know why this happened to you. I'm embarrassed. Oh.
Starlight, she is slow. But I low-key don't ever have enough time to watch anything but The Office.
And I haven't watched it at all.
Me either. But The Office watches me, because by the time I get into bed and I turn the TV on, like two episodes of The Office play, and then by the time the third one come on, it automatically pauses because I'm asleep by that time. So,
all right. Okay, Starr.
All right, I'm gonna kill it.
For your question, Starr, which Tyler Perry movie was known for its shifting wigs in 2020? Three, two.
What is that movie called? Don't you go cheating, Alyssa?
0. All right, Alyssa, your chance for the steal and no cheating. What was the name of the Tyler Perry movie that was known for its shifting wigs in 2020?
I know the movie. I don't know.
I know the movie too. I don't remember the name of it.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The name of the movie is A Fall from Grace.
Oh.
And I thought of Alone something. So there you go.
Alyssa, we were in the office when we talked about that.
What?
Wasn't that crazy? We were like,
we were? It's been a long year.
We recorded that. We were in the office.
Crazy how this year has gone. Anyway, next question for Alyssa. Alyssa, what is the name of Lauren's White Bay from Love is Blind?
Cameron.
That is correct. 5 points for Alyssa.
That's the stuff I watch.
Well, there you go. You got one. She's up with it. All right. Starr for the next question. Who was the first African-American man to achieve EGOT status?
EGOT, what's that?
I can't give you any more hints. 5, 4,
I don't know what EGOT means.
1, 0. Alyssa for the steal. Who was the first African-American man to achieve an EGOT status? And no cheating.
You see my hands? What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just brief the answer? I don't know. I know what EGOT means, but I don't know.
What does it mean? Maybe I can steal it back.
So it's like when they get the Oscar, the Tony, and the what's the E?
E is a Emmy.
Emmy, Oscar, and Tony.
The G, Grammy.
Grammy. So Oscar, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony. And usually a Tony is for musicals, right?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to think of a Black man that was in a musical that I would be able to pinpoint, and I can't.
Is it what's his name?
He's hard as hell.
I mean, part of your culture. So
is it like Childish Gambino? Childish Gambino?
It is not, unfortunately. No? The correct answer is John Legend. He is the first African-American man to achieve an EGOT. He got the Tony, I believe, for Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, I wasn't gonna know that. I don't even know. I don't remember the last time I watched a award show. Period. Like I don't keep up with that stuff.
I wouldn't have guessed him. All right, next question.
Next question is for whose question was that? That was Alyssa's.
No, that was Starr, since she lost.
That was Starr.
So listen.
Oh, okay, you're right. Okay.
No, that was my question. It's on Alyssa.
Y'all trying to trick me?
No, it's Alyssa's.
It's my turn.
Oh, you mean Alyssa's question next? All right. So another music question. All right, music legend Bill Withers died at the age of 81. Which iconic song was he not known for? I'm giving you options. Lovely Day, Lean on Me, Ain't No Sunshine, Isn't She Lovely, Use Me.
Isn't She Lovely? Because that's Stevie Wonder, and Stevie Wonder is my jam.
Ding, 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 ding. 5 points.
If you ain't throwing that, Isn't She Lovely? I would have known. Because I was like, I ain't got this, big dog.
All right, Starr, your question. What bomb did Lawrence drop on Issa at the end of season 4 of Insecure?
Oh, that's not fair because she don't watch Insecure.
I've never watched it.
She can guess, just guess.
That what Lauren dropped on Issa? That she slept with her man?
Lawrence is a boy.
Incorrect. Alyssa for the steal.
You said Lawrence, the guy?
Lawrence is a
Oh. That's not even fair.
So that girl that he went out with, she pregnant.
That is correct. Condoleezza.
Condolences.
Like, they call that girl everything under the.
Watch TV. I just got social media this year in like March of 2020. I don't know what this stuff is.
I'm with it.
Personal problem. Okay.
This is not fair.
All right. Alyssa, your question. Which Black actor died at the age of 43?
Chadwick Boseman.
That is correct. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
On Aria's birthday, and Trey cried the entire day.
Oh no!
He did, yeah.
That is so sad.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
From the mountains.
You gave Alyssa all the easy ones.
As your technological advances have been overtaken by a child.
All right. This is an easy one. The last question for Starr. Which celebrity took her man back after receiving a car?
Cardi B.
Cardi B is correct. Cardi B and Offset definitely made a lot of headlines in 2020. Well, actually, since the time that they got together in 2017, they've just been making headlines over and over. We've been all in their relationships on Speak Brown Girl. So yes, hopefully in 2021, things will be better for Cardi B and Offset.
But I hope fans of Speak Brown Girl that we, particularly me, I have won back my black card.
Yes, Alyssa got 5, 10, 15, 20 points in this Black pop culture trivia for 2020 game that we played. So congratulations. What was that?
He wasn't doing so good after I guessed Moesha.
We were worried. I was worried. I was like, is this how it's gonna go down? Is this about to be? Because I don't know if I want to play anymore.
If it's gonna be this bad, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, I have one more part for our listeners to see if they can guess this. It might be an interesting to see the comments. So which Speak Brown Girl host always wears head wraps? Which, for those of our YouTube listeners, which Speak Brown Girl host typically can be found in head wraps? Next, which Speak Brown Girl host typically can be found wearing a black t-shirt? And finally, which Speak Brown Girl host always forgets to change her Instagram handle and whose Instagram handle has changed at least twice during the whole season?
Which Which one always wears red lipstick?
She's not wearing it today.
She's
been getting
the hint.
Well, she kind of let herself go. She came back a little bit today, but the last couple of episodes she kind of let herself go a little bit. But anyway, see if you can answer those questions. Which Speak Brown Girl host always wears the head wraps, always wears the black shirt, and always forgets to add her Instagram handle at least halfway through the episode. All right, so here we go on to the topic for the day.
All right, now for our topic of the day. Cancel culture.
We did a lot of that in 2020.
We did do a lot of that in 2020. So what say you about cancel culture? And then we'll go further into this subject.
What's the question? I missed the whole question.
Oh, I didn't ask a specific question yet. So my initial question to you is, what is your definition of cancel culture? So we can like get on the same level playing field and then like go from there. What is your definition of cancel culture?
An excuse to be trashed.
Cancel culture. Excuse?
Cancel culture
no.
is a term that people use when they want to justify having a trash point of view.
I see it.
But it doesn't exist. Who's actually been canceled? Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna stop.
Okay. I get where you're going with that. To me, cancel culture, I mean, canceling in general is, for what I gather, is typically if somebody does something trash or foolish, particularly in the Black community, we are prone to cancel them and not want to support them, even though they're Black. We like, yeah, you're not invited to the cookout no more, fam. Like, you can't talk like that about us, or you can't do things like that and expect us to be cool with you. So yeah, that's what I have gathered from this year in particular, of people getting canceled because they have done things that have either been offensive to our community, or to people in our community. That's what cancel culture, or canceling, I would say, means to me. Cancel culture is what we live in. We don't like to cut people slack. Like, any stupid thing that's said out of context or anything, like, that's our culture. We just quick to cancel people for one little mistake. But sometimes it's deserved, in my opinion. But go ahead. Say what you gotta say, Alyssa.
Yeah, I'm basically like, piggybacking on what you guys said in regards to like canceling people. But then my definition of cancel culture isn't just restricted to like public figures or people of other cultures. A lot of times we cancel family members, or we cancel friends, or we cancel just like people that we come in contact with based off of like, oh, they're not serving me in this moment, or like I'm not directly getting anything from our relationship. And so I'm cutting off everybody who's not serving me the way that I serve them. Type of cancel culture, which we're gonna go further into that.
I think canceling like is the new cutting people off. Like, I feel like 2018, like everything, I think it was 2018 or maybe it's 2017, I can't remember, but it was like everything was like, I'm cutting off this, I'm cutting off you, I'm cutting off that. And then all of a sudden it was like replaced by like, you're canceled. This is canceled.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I'm canceling.
I don't really hear people using the term cancel when talking about like personal relationships though.
I do.
No,
I mean, even in that, like, I'm canceling these toxic people in my life or whatever, but you be the toxic person. So, but can y'all think of a situation this year where, like, as a Black community, we effectively or non-effectively used cancel culture when it came to someone either like personally um or like a company or a business or you know anything.
I can't think of anyone who's been successfully canceled. If cancel culture was real, then Kanye West wouldn't still be blowing up for everything. People would still wouldn't be bumping his music, talking about Jesus is King, wearing his clothes, talking about Sunday or whatever he does. Like if cancel culture, because technically Kanye has been quote unquote canceled so many times over so many years. So it's not really, it's not real, but people like to I feel like people blame cancel culture when they don't want to take accountability for something, their actions. Because if someone got canceled, quote unquote, but they took accountability and apologized, if there was something like that was really wrong, people aren't like, I don't care about your apology. Usually people will double down on their trashness and was like, this is just cancel culture. I'm allowed to have an opinion. And I'm like, you can just say that. I mean, I have personally, someone who I watch on social media on YouTube, I commented on something that they said that I thought was trash, and they use that like a cancel culture defense. We're like, we're fan, we're people who are watching you and consuming your content. I'm not just a random person who's like, nobody mentioned cancel anything, but you that was your initial response when someone gave you constructive criticism, was to yell cancel culture. And I see a lot of celebrities who use counsel. I feel like they say counsel culture more than people actually are saying that they're counseling them. But because they're doing that, that's what makes people ultimately counsel them, because they're not taking accountability for their actions. If people came up and said like, yeah, that tweet that I tweeted was trash, or that was blah blah blah, who has effectively lost their career because of cancel culture? Like I can't point to someone.
I know that there are times.
Because even Tory Lanez dropped a whole album after he shot Meg Thee Stallion, and people was talking about how fire it was and talking about, they don't know if Meg is telling the truth. So I'm like, it don't matter what. I don't know what you can do.
There was that one celebrity news anchor reporter that lost her show or spot on a show. That just goes to show how much I don't pay attention.
Roseanne.
No, not Roseanne. It was like a Black woman who was on some show, and they like fired her, and she ended up like making her own show or podcast or something. But I think that she used to be like a sports newscaster.
Oh, you Jimmy Hill. She wasn't canceled. That wasn't the public who canceled her. That was ESPN who was mad that she was making political.
Oh, you're right. ESPN let her go.
But okay. Roseanne, they did cancel her because of her racial comments. And they ended up, the main character of Roseanne, they ended up restructuring the show.
The whole season.
Did they keep the name Roseanne though?
No, they changed it.
Okay.
They restructured it.
Named after her.
Huh?
I was thinking like, how did they restructure a show named after her?
Yeah, so they restructured it and named it something different, but they kept the same cast, and then they basically like wrote her out.
Yeah. So she's one white woman that effectively lost everything.
Like, the lady in the park that called the police frantic, and then they got her fired. And
oh yeah, she deserved to be, all of those people.
No, I'm not saying she did it.
And we don't know what happens after that, because we see police officers do stuff, and then like they get out of the news, and then we hear about them actually have another police job somewhere else. And so also someone said, you got to see what actually are the long-term effects. Because a lot of people, it may be in the moment, but they be right back doing what they was doing. I was thinking about Paula Deen. You remember a few years ago, she got called out for calling her employees the N-word and treating them like slaves or whatever. I went to Savannah and I'm walking past and I see Paula Deen's restaurant with like full of Black people just sitting there eating there. I was like, what? I thought we canceled her back in 2015 or something. So I'm saying people don't really be affected by cancel. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you think the issue is, first off, I think I'm just ask this and then we can continue. So do you think the issue is that we as Black people cannot follow through on when we are correctly canceling someone? Or Is it that like, all right, we felt like that was over and we gave them another opportunity and that's why? So what do you think?
Marvelyn?
I think that the follow through was poor. Even me, I had Papa John's pizza the other day, y'all. Like, I was like, I don't want to eat racist pizza, but this is the only pizza.
Oh, David ordered Papa John's today. I don't even know what Papa John's did. What they do? They're racist pizza?
Again.
Yeah.
Huh?
He made some racist comments, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I gotta tell you, but we never eat Papa John's. Like I don't remember last time I had Papa John's, but today we're going on like a no eating out thing. So David was like, his last hurrah was pizza, and he just got Papa John's. But yeah, I was about to say, like, when you have to think about, even if like for companies, if you think about all the companies you have to effectively boycott, it's really difficult. Even like, it's really difficult to live your life in a capitalistic society that's ran by big businesses, which is also like upheld by capitalism, that's also upheld by white supremacy. And so it's really hard to really avoid all things negative when it comes to like consumption. I think that's difficult. I think that a part of it is like people not being aware, everyone not being aware or having the same level of care. There are people who are just like, what? They're just speaking their mind, but their mind is trash. That's all we saying. Is their mind is trash. I think it's very difficult to effectively cancel someone, which is why when people complain about cancel culture, it's irritating because I'm like, you might lose a few things in the next few weeks, but it's gonna blow over. Like think about all the stuff we talked about in this podcast, and today I was like, I don't really have anything in the news today. Like everything that we talked about before has blown over. Mm-hmm. And so at a week or two, it's going to blow over. And especially if you're already someone who has money, like if you're already a celebrity who has power, money, access, it's really hard. I feel like the only people who really get canceled are Black women. Think about like Monique, for example, who the people who cancel her are people who actually have structural power in order to actually like cause harm to her. But a lot of times we don't have enough power, or at least collective power, because it's not, like you said, like it's not, everyone's not on the same page. We don't really have enough collective power, or we don't operate in collective power in order to effectively cancel people or companies that need to be canceled. So I think it's possible. I just don't necessarily see that it's done. Like I said, if it was done, Kanye should have. But anytime Kanye dropped anything, Black people would still go nuts. So
do you think as a culture, like we are too divided? Because you know the saying, like all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Do you think as a culture, like we're too divided to be able to unite to cancel something successfully in a way that brings about like lasting change?
Yeah, I think that people have different levels of care. Everyone isn't community minded. And I also find that Black women are oftentimes more community minded than Black men. Mm-hmm. So we talked about that when it came to the election, for example. And so I think that, like, generally speaking, that's true. I think that when it comes to different generations and age groups, that can be true. I feel like there are age groups that just they're more old school. So like they have their internal racism and self-hate that they don't even recognize when something is oppressive. They just see it as normal, or they're like, oh, it's not a big deal. But like, so I think there's just different levels of care that people take. Like, I think that like, also I think specifically in the Black community, historically or in recent, people haven't believed in collective power. And I think that like just recently throughout an election with Georgia turning blue, that was like the first time in recent that people have seen collective power in action for the Black community. And they're like, oh wait, this actually could be something. So I think that having more examples of collective power actually making a big difference, like the Georgia presidential election, could encourage that. But I think that even if people like think that something's trash, they don't really think that them participating in something is going to actually do something. So why even participate in the first place? Like there are people who are saying like your vote doesn't really count. It's decided by electoral college. It doesn't really matter. Your vote doesn't count, so I don't vote. But now that they see that, wait, their vote actually did something, then maybe. But I just think that a lot of collective action recent hasn't necessarily turned into change that people identify with. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, like Kanye came on my playlist today and I did not change it because I'm sorry, but the songs really slap because I love choirs and I love drum lines, and I just continue to listen
See,
to it.
Marvel is a prime example.
I know. I just
I ain't listened to Kanye since Kanye. I canceled Kanye when he married Kim, so I don't buy
Yeah,
no shoes.
technically it's not Kanye on the track. It's the Sunday service choir that's
but
on
is
the
he still getting residuals off of you listening to that? That's
I,
the question. Because then you're still supplying Kanye.
Cancel Kanye,
Um,
married Kim. So.
and I realized that, and that's how I realized that people weren't on code because, like, my wedding weekend, we were in like the were you there? No, I don't know where you were. Where were you? You were there.
Me?
babysitting.
I don't know where. Not you. I'm talking
Oh.
about Alyssa. She was there. I don't know where she was, but we were in the lobby of the hotel, like next to the bar, and people were talking, and they were having a debate about whether Kanye was Christian based on his Jesus is King album and all kind of stuff. And you know, Tayshaun, you know how Tayshaun get when he going back for people. And I'm like, yo, I don't care. I'm not listening to it. He can be a Christian all he wants to. I couldn't tell you one way. I was like, what, that's what y'all talking about? Why are we even listening to Kanye? I wouldn't know. So I'm like, next conversation, I'm gonna turn this because I don't care.
Yeah,
I hope he loves Jesus.
I probably was in that hallway, but when I really don't care, I excuse myself from the conversation and I don't even pay attention. I was in that hallway and I just be like, I don't care. Don't really care to be a part of this.
I don't care. Like, I don't care. I hope he loved Jesus. Just because I don't care for somebody don't mean that I'm like, I hope he loved Jesus. I hope everybody come know Jesus. I don't have to like you and I don't have to listen to you to hope that you get saved. And just because you're a Christian don't mean I have to consume your content. There's a lot of Christians that I won't consume their content, but I hope to see you in heaven.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said, I canceled him when he married Kim, but then even further, when he went a step further, say that slavery was a choice.
Yeah, all this stuff. Also, shout out to Thank God for the Group Chat podcast. I think it was last year before the podcast ended for a little bit, took a hiatus, and I hope that he listens to this. I don't know if they listen to this, but
he does.
He does. Okay, so because I I'll send him paragraphs. I to listen to the podcast because it would make me mad.
He sends me pointers.
Yeah, he sends us pointers too. Okay, but it was after the church service started coming out. Everybody started talking about how dope that was, and his co-host was like, "Is Kanye canceled?" They're like, "No, Kanye was never canceled." And I'm like, "Since when is Kanye canceled? He do one thing and now he's not canceled. If anybody should be canceled, it should be Kanye, who wears Trump hats, who goes to the White House, who defends Trump, who talks about slavery as a choice, who marries a white woman, and made a song before about black men marrying white women when they get money. And on every single thing that he did, he's the one that's not canceled." He lucky I ain't sending him a text after the podcast. I'm like, I want to throw my phone. How y'all gonna see it? He dropped a church service. Y'all talking about now he not canceled. How did it work?
and it was just like a temporary thing because like with Lil Wayne when he came out to support Trump and his white girlfriend dumped him. Oh yeah, because of his support of Trump. And then after the election took him back. It was like, oh yeah, that was just a show. You were putting on a show to be like, all right, I'm not trying to be canceled, so I can't look like I'm supporting him and his, foolishness. But
girl, you knew his stance when you got with him. What's his name? Lil Wayne had never been community minded. He said he never police brutality. He never stood up for police brutality or any of that. He said police been good to him, which is fine if you've had good encounters with the police, but don't dismiss other people's experiences, especially people who died at the hands of police officers because you said that a police officer saved your life after you overdosed.
And also, of course, you're gonna have good experiences with the police because of your net worth. Let's be real here. You know what I mean? If you make a certain amount of money, then of course you're valuable. They deem you valuable.
If they know who you are, but you also could come across that cop that don't know who you are, and you might not have a good experience. There are a lot of people who, I'm sure that the people who died at the hands of police officers had good experiences with police officers before it became fatal. It only takes one to lose your life. That don't mean I don't know. It doesn't really matter if
that exactly happened to Jonathan Price.
The one who was like, he made that whole post about having good experiences with police officers and got killed at a gas station by a police officer. Is that the one you're talking about?
After he was trying to help a domestic situation, I believe. Yeah, he said, "Oh, I don't have an issue with any of that. I've had positive, you know, I've had a positive interactions with police before." And then in that same city, he was gunned down by police. Not even maybe a couple months after.
Well, so soon.
So go ahead, Boo.
No, I just said, but anyway. So I thought you were about to just continue talking. I didn't know where you were trying to take this conversation because I just kind of went off. Okay.
Oh no, that was fine. I'm completely fine with that. And so I have three questions. And y'all can choose to respond to one or respond to all or do you like this. So the first one is cancel culture toxic? Does cancel culture affect our mental health? And then the third one is how should we as Christians deal with cancel culture?
Marvelyn? You muted, Marvelyn.
That's a lot of questions. I don't know if I can even remember all of that. I'm gonna just take.
I can ask you one at a time.
Yeah.
So, cancel culture toxic?
I think anything can be toxic. Honestly, I feel like people can sling anything, twist anything, and make it a toxic situation. So, yeah, I think it can go both ways. I think it can be. Next question. What was the next question?
Can cancel culture affect our mental health?
Yeah. Here's the thing. All right. So I think that cancel culture could be effective for the right circumstances and the right reasons. I do think that, again, celebrities are humans and they make mistakes and they say dumb stuff, but they are held to a higher standard because they have a platform and what have you. But I think that there are times that like people might say things and they just either they're just ignorant or misinformed or a slip of the tongue or something was said not properly or not thought out well. And I think that there are times where people can pounce on those slip of the tongue moments. And yeah, like even actually, I don't even have a good example of that. I'm trying to think of Janelle.
That's what actually that. What example do you have?
Yeah.
I think an example of that what is like, who is that Hispanic woman who said that? Yeah, what she said. I think what she said was trash, but I also think that it was one of those like gaffes kind of thing, like when she was talking, like because she can't. I thought that one was kind of like, but she didn't get canceled for it. People were dragged her and people talking about it. But like, drag culture. I guess if drag culture is cancel culture, people get dragged.
I think that's more of what I'm thinking of. I think that we are very quick to drag celebrities, and I think that can be really detrimental to people's mental health and self-esteem. But again, they are held in higher standards and regards and what have you because of their platform. And I also think that we as the consumers, depending on what the topic at hand is, can be affected by the detrimental things that they say if we take it too much to heart. You know, we have a lot of rappers that are out here that are saying negative things about Black women constantly. And, you know, Black women, if we choose, we can take that to heart and be like, well, dag, I'm trash because these men don't want me or what have you. But well, that doesn't actually have anything to do with cancel culture per se, but we can cancel them by not consuming the things that they are putting out there for us. You know, we don't got to be out here dancing to music that is degrading or what have you, or we can if we want, or whatever your choice is, that's on you. But I think anything that's put out by society, by mass media, can affect people's mental health. And then as a Christian, I think, yes, we are told to forgive as we have been forgiven. But I I always try to emphasize the fact that we are supposed to stand for, you know, justice, and we cannot allow injustice to just go unpunished or uncalled out or anything like that. So I do think that, yes, we need to forgive people. We need to point out when people have done things that are wrong or even against God's words, or, you know, when we aren't loving our neighbors properly. We do, as Christians, need to call those things out. And I do believe that canceling, maybe not to the degree that society deems canceling, but like, you know, boycotting or not supporting bad behavior, like, I think that it can be effective. And I think that we as Christians should participate in some of those actions when injustice is being held. Def map.
Starr?
Start over with the questions are again.
Is cancel culture toxic? That's the first question.
Yeah, I think like Marvelyn said, anything can be toxic. I think that yeah, I think they can be toxic. I don't think generally that it's toxic as much as I think that it's a scapegoat. But I think dragging people can also be a toxic. I feel like people get dragged before people even have the full context of whatever the situation is sometimes. Like, oh, they said blah, blah, blah. And then like the full clip comes out. I was like, oh, well, you know, but you already dragged them before you start. So I think that that's harmful. And it's also going to the next question about the mental health. I think that's harmful for the mental health of people who get dragged. But also I think mental health wise, could also give you anxiety around. It can cause anxiety around like what you post, what you say, what you do. Like, is everything going to be scrutinized? And everything will be scrutinized, especially if you have a platform. Which, I mean, you have to take what's given to you, especially in the age of social media, because it's a blessing and a curse. Social media has caused people to get more income, more exposure, and all that stuff. But that also comes with more eyes and more critics and all that stuff as well, which can be harmful to mental health. And I think it also can be harmful to our mental health, even as consumers, because I feel like there's always somebody saying something racist or saying something that like colorist or something against Black women or something like fat phobic or like, you know, it's always somebody saying something trash. And the more marginalized, like identity wise, your position in society, the more you can be bogged down with the things that people say and attacking them for it, because you're not just attacking what they're saying, you're also defending yourself and your identity and your self-worth based on who that is. And I think about like so many, like Chris Brown said something about something colorist in one of his songs, which is like for people, especially young girls who grew up in love with him, and for him to like pretty much say he doesn't prefer you, that can be harmful, and you could be upset about that. And that's not, I mean, I think that you should hold people accountable for the harm that they cause to people, but also like consuming that all the time could have you at a place of always being outraged, which I think can be like harmful. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But I think it's good in the sense that like there has been a lot that has gone on in the past before the age of social media that people were allowed to get away with and do and not be held accountable for it. And it's just harder for like R. Kelly thrived through the 90s, like thrived through the early 2000s. But it wasn't until social media, the documentary came out, everybody was talking about it. And so people had to do something, right? And so and then people now are saying like, dang, I was dancing, I was stepping in the name of love. Like people always doing that, but because of social media, because of cancel culture, because of like, you know, him being dragged, like he was also held accountable for his actions, which is, I think, a positive reaction. Although there are people who think that and this is where like people aren't in unity because there are Black people and Black men who still defend R. Kelly to this day. But anyway, still, I think that it ended up, he actually got canceled. That's one person who actually got canceled because
yeah.
But yeah. What was the last one? That
bury him under the jail.
Yeah. That was effective though. That was the right level of cancel culture.
And I don't think you answered the last one. How as Christians, how should we handle cancel culture?
As Christians, I think that we should be slow to speak and quick to listen. So I think we should be quick to just like understand and hear truth. We should operate from a place of wisdom. Like Marvelyn said, I think that we pursue justice. But we also love mercy. We show people mercy, but that doesn't stop us from holding people accountable for their actions and acknowledging the wrong that they do. Because we still want people to repent and all that stuff, all that good stuff, and reconcile. But reconciliation also comes from a place of repentance as well. So,
what does
I think
that accountability look like though?
What'd you say?
What does that accountability look like though?
I think that it depends on the level. Of course, I think that. I mean, so accountability, for example, would be like the situation with Lecrae and Louis Giglio that happened earlier this year, where Louis was dragged for a comment he made in the presence of Lecrae, and they are both Christians, and like people were mad at Lecrae because he didn't speak up in that moment to like hold him accountable in the moment for what he said, although he kind of was caught guard. And he explained that so people were holding Louis accountable for what he said, but also holding Lecrae accountable for how he responded, because he was in a position, a better position than a lot of people to be able to actually confront what he said head on. Whereas like the rest of us are only hearing it, we're distant, we don't really have direct access to Louis. And so I think people were disappointed with his response from like a interpersonal level. But then I think that it's right to speak out in truth and in love about the facts of the situation. Even as David and I had a conversation with one of his friends, because David actually used to go to his church, and his friend who came over during that time also they met at that church. And his friend was like saying like, I don't think he's a bad guy. I mean, blah, blah, blah. And so we had to sit there and explain to him how what Louis said was extremely harmful, not only just generally because it was racist, but also theologically it was harmful. So even as a pastor, like his theology in that moment was harmful, not just his social awareness. And I think that being able to dissect and understand that even as believers, like this is what causes harm. So it's not just saying I forgive Louis, but also understanding the weight of the damage that you could potentially cause with your words and all this kind of stuff, and hold people accountable to it, and also hold other people accountable as they are reacting to it as well, because as that person also was a leader in his space, in the Christian space, it's like if you are leading Black people, you also need to know why this is wrong, so you don't repeat the same harm that Louis caused by his words. And so I think it's really like instilling truth. I didn't go to Louis church anyway, so I think that this another part of counsel culture is like how are you actually counseling them in a way that causes harm. I've attended his church one time in my life. I've never been a member. I've never given money to the church. So I can't effectively counsel Louis, but I can, as a fellow Christian, say that this was trash. And I'm going to tell other Christians why this is trash, because it could also be deterring Black people away from the faith, because they feel like that is for the white people is what he kind of perpetuated in his statements.
Okay.
Like I said, I feel like I talked a lot this episode.
You said what?
Like I talked a lot this episode.
Okay, you are the talker. I mean, I talk too, but so you have a lot of wisdom to drop. So drop on, sis.
Hey, drop them, as people say, drop them gems.
Okay.
But I will say that I feel like the church has been in a place of like, especially when it comes to other Christians, of like saying forgiveness and grace. But I also feel like that is a result of white supremacy. So it's like this false sense of like forgiveness and grace and mercy that has been stopping the church. I mean, there's also been like false justice and like, like legalism and stuff like that. I feel like we've been focusing on the wrong areas. Like we've been super legalistic about things that don't really matter. And then we've been passive about things that actually cause like considerable harm to groups of people in the world. And so like you're worried about what that one person is wearing, where like this person is like preaching stuff and causing people to want to kill themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like y'all focusing on the wrong stuff right now.
For sure, because somebody could easily take what he said and take it as, oh man, so scripture doesn't align with what he says, and it you know, oh, God doesn't care about the little things and the, you know, and the big things and social justice and all these things, and like that's not true, you know what I mean? Especially in, and he said it in the height of time where we're going through a global panoramic, you know, when they was like, I'm calling it everything with a P. Where we're going through a global pandemic, but not only that, but we're seeing this social justice injustice that has been, we've seen it for years, obviously, played out, but then they're just now shown the light. But then even even as you're shown that light, you're like, yeah, but I don't see it as that, what I see it as. And it's making us want to withdraw from the very God that we should be drawing near to. You know what I mean? And so for me, I was livid, but it took a lot of me having to return to my foundational principles about who I am and my relationship in Jesus that helped me to be able to not resent a lot of, I'm trying to find a nicer way to say this, but Caucasian people.
Like 2020 has been just a L for white evangelicals. Like I'm sorry. That's just the truth. But yeah, I was gonna say, to what you just said, like the harm for like one harm that I would point out, and I know this is kind of off topic because we're kind of veering away.
No, but it's good. Go ahead.
But the harm is to say that there's a white blessing, there's a blessing, but we talk about like blessings come from God, and so to say that white people got a blessing that Black people don't have access to is counter the gospel. God gives us blessings freely. He does not discriminate. And it is by grace so that no man can boast. In like there's no Jew nor Greek, we're all one in Christ Jesus. And to say that there's a blessing that came from God that only white people had access to tells Black people not only did this blessing give white people access, but it also caused oppression and harm and death and famine and poverty amongst Black people. And so if yours is a blessing, then that means that what we got was also from God. That's not the God I serve. And that is harmful theology because it's anti the gospel. What blessing does God not give all of his people freely? Like he gives like the biggest blessing that we can give is Jesus Christ, and God does not discriminate with that. And so to like characterize God as a discriminate God, especially in regard to race, is where I think it's particularly harmful and continue to perpetuate what a lot of Black people feel about Christianity being a white man's religion. Because you just now acknowledged that it seems to be a white man's religion. At least Western Christianity is a white man's religion, but that's not true Christianity. And so I think that is harmful. You're like, see, this is why I left the church anyways, because this wasn't for me. And that's what I would think if I didn't know the gospel. I would think, oh, this wasn't for me. This Christianity isn't for me, because there are other religions that I can go to that's for me. There's other like religions that elevate my Blackness, that acknowledge my Blackness is for me, and not tell me that I'm less than and I didn't have access to this because of the skin that I was born in that I had no control over. Only God did. So that means if God put me in a skin that I had no control over, then he damned me then. And that's not the God that we serve.
And it makes it seem as if God only came to say, like, that Jesus only came down, you know, died, and was resurrected on the third day to just save a selected few. And that's not what happened. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't just say, oh, I'm just saving these whites. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not, like you said, that's not the God that we serve. That's not in his character. And if you are not rooted in like who you are, like, even though I am still rooted, like that pissed me off to the point where it was like, all right, I need to get off social media and I really need to seek you, because the fact that you just said these are white blessings in a church where you have lots of members of color is an issue for me. And you said it comfortably. And I don't fault Lecrae for not having really much to say, because in that moment, I think I probably would have been shocked. And I probably, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've probably been so pissed off that I would have probably stayed silent so that I wouldn't have gone off on him. And can you imagine?
I would have ripped into it. I would have ripped into it.
Cuss words, you would have heard. what we not gonna do.
I would have just made all the crazy faces that I usually make. I would have been like,
I know your eyes would be squinting in the mug, like, I don't know about.
When I'm about to disagree with somebody real hard, I start to get anxious, and I'd be like,
yeah, I'm just waiting for you. I'm just rocking back and forth, waiting for you to finish talking so I can go off. No, but also, again, what he said was a white blessing is actually sin. And that's why it's to mischaracterize sin and call it a blessing.
That's the main part.
No, it's sin. And what you're not going to acknowledge is telling your congregation that what they receive is a blessing when they have been operating and benefiting from centuries of sin. And that's not what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to. And how many people?
That's what we're not going to do in 2021, ladies.
And how many people heard that and strayed away from the gospel because of that? You know, how many times have we been in churches where we felt like we couldn't be Black and Christian? You know what I mean? Where we had to set aside the way that we felt about the social injustice that was happening to our people for the sake of being a Christian. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, but so the summary of that is Louis should have been canceled, but he was rightfully, but he wasn't even really canceled. Nobody actually said he was canceled. He was just dragged. He was dragged. Did he lose any member? I don't know if he lost it. He didn't lost no members, no money. He didn't lose nothing from that.
Formal apology?
You said what?
Did he come out with a formal apology?
Yeah, he apologized. So he was rightfully dragged. Yeah, I got you. He was rightfully dragged, but nobody said he was necessarily canceled, but he was dragged up and down the internet, rightfully so. And I think that, yeah, rightfully, I didn't hear nobody say anything disrespectful. It was rightfully deserved dragging, but yeah.
Can't do nothing about it. You deserved it. So.
He deserved it. All right, lady.
but let me preach real quick. But if we all got what we deserved.
Hey now. Hey.
Yeah. All right.
That's offer plate.
That was good, y'all.
That was a word.
That was
this
good.
Is a good wrap-up podcast for 2020, y'all.
Yeah. Good.
That summed up the year.
With that hot fire. Any last comments, questions, concerns, anything else?
I'm ready for 2021 to be better days.
I put something on my Instagram that said, like, we know that 2021, the virus isn't going to disappear, but if people have hope for 2021 for it to be better, then let them have that hope. You know what I mean? Let them have that hope. If that's like what they're, grasping to, and those that are grieving, let's grieve with those that are grieving, and hold fast to the hope with those that are hoping for a better 2021. Amen. So yeah, with 2021, here's to hoping that,
better days. And we got hope in Jesus, y'all.
Yes, eternal hope that will never disappoint.
And not man's version of Jesus.
That's right.
That offers white blessing.
He ain't white. He ain't white with blonde locks. He ain't.
He ain't, because he wouldn't have survived the desert.
I never thought about it that way, but thank you, Alyssa.
Without sunscreen.
So, Jen, Alyssa. Yo, we got to talk about, in the next episode, we got to talk about some of like the wins of 2020, because we didn't really talk about the wins that happened in 2020 for each of us.
Like, so, personally?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that at the start of the year as we look at goals in 2021. That's something good that we should do.
Right on.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being faithful listeners. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys.
Black power.
Did you just say black power? For a second, I thought you said white power. And I was like,
no,
what?
But yeah, I said black power. We fight the power.
Before on the podcast, you said what? Black fears, white tears. What did you say?
That was her. It's not me, right?
Yeah, that's not Marvelyn. Yes, it was. At the end, you said black something, white tears. Go back.
No, I don't think I would have said that. I don't remember that. someone can find the receipt, please let me know what episode that was in, because I don't remember saying that.
Well, you got 11 to go through and then fast forward to the end.
Oh God.
All right. Big brown girl.
Out.
Out.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Love y'all.